doesn't love a good book haul? My name is Maddie, and if you are not new here, then you may or may not know that I have a slight book buying addiction. I feel like I've been really good about it lately. I have not been buying as many books. I honestly don't remember the last time that I did a haul, but I did do some damage this weekend, so I thought I would show you what I got. I bought at least half of these this past weekend, and the other half are ones that I think I bought in the last month. These are actually really heavy. It's a lot of big books. The reason I bought so many books this weekend is because my friend Mick was in town. She lives in LA and she was in Texas for a wedding, and my roommate Kat and I got to hang out with her on Sunday. The three of us actually used to be roommates for 3 years back in college. Mick also started a booktube channel and she made a super cute YouTube shorts video that I will link somewhere. If you are not following Mick, then what are you doing? But we had just a few hours with her and we decided to go hopping to different little indie bookstores. Spoiler alert, all of them but one were closed. So then we just went to Half Price Books, which is a really big used bookstore chain that we have in Texas, and I think a lot of other states have it now too, which is why I got a lot of books, because I got a lot of them for a pretty decent price. But that's it for my excuses. Let's go ahead and get into the haul. First book is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and she is a really thick one. This is the one that I bought at the indie bookstore, and nothing in there was like really pulling me. So I was like, hey Mick, why don't you just pick me out a book? And she loves Cassandra Clare. She loves the Shadowhunters books, which I think are all that she's ever written before, but there's like 15 books. And Mick's been trying to get me to read them for a long time, and this is her first book that is outside of that world. So it's the first book in a whole new fantasy series, and Mick thought that it would be good for me to try out her writing without being maybe as intimidated, because it's the only book out, so it's not like a 15-book series. I am intimidated by how thick she is, but I think it's young adult like the rest of her books, and the font's pretty big, so I'm telling myself it's not actually that long. I know lots of people are very excited for this book, but I don't know what it's about whatsoever. It says, two outcasts find themselves at the center of world-altering change in the start of a riveting epic fantasy series from the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. That doesn't tell me a whole lot. Oh, back says, welcome to an all-new fantasy world. Forbidden love, dangerous magic, and a secret that could break the kingdom. Let the Chronicles of Castellane begin. I probably said that wrong. It seems very much medieval. Like, we've got castles, crowns. It seems like it's a historical fantasy, maybe? I think it just came out really recently, so I'm excited to see people's reviews start to come in. I was so happy when I found this next one at Half Price Books, because this is a series that I've already read before, but I don't own the physical copies of books 1 and 2. It is maybe the only like epic high fantasy series that I have completed, and I really loved it. So I have been wanting to add the first and second books to my collection just when I see them maybe on sale. So when I saw this for $10, I had to get it, and it is An Echo of Things to Come, which is book 2 in the Lacanius trilogy by James Islington. This is not a very well-known popular series, but my boyfriend actually picked it up one day at Barnes. He's not really a reader, but for some reason he picked up one of these gigantic books. Like, I think they're like 700, 800 pages. And he decided to give it a try, and he loved it so much that he forced me to read it, and I had no interest because they were so huge, but oh my gosh, they were so good, especially the third book. Honestly, I also just want to have these big chunky boys on my shelf so that if anybody is like, oh my gosh, have you read those? I'll be like, yeah, I did. I also sometimes feel better about buying books that I've already read because it's not adding to my physical TBR. It's just like a little token of something I've already read. So I didn't feel bad about buying this one at all. It's not like in perfect condition or anything, but it was only $10 and I just had to have her. I finally decided to pick up Shadow and Bone because Six of Crows is one of those books that I have been wanting to read for a really long time, and I know that the Shadow and Bones trilogy comes before it, and it's one of those situations where you don't have to read Shadow and Bone, but it's like you'll have a much better understanding of the world and maybe the characters if you do. And I know that this has very mixed reviews. Most people do not like this series, but I am just that type of person that cannot skip the series that comes before. So even though this does not have very good reviews and it's just a means to an end to get to Six of Crows, I still have to read it one day. And I feel like you never know. I am not the most picky reader. I am just reading for entertainment. I am not someone who's like deep analyzing my books. I feel like I'm pretty easily entertained. And this reminds me of the Once Upon a Broken Heart and Caraval series, where Caraval comes first, but you don't have to read it before. And a lot of people were like, Caraval's not worth it. You don't need to read it. But being me, I had to, and I read it first, and I absolutely loved Caraval. So I feel like I might as well give it a chance, and now that I have the first book, hopefully it's something that I get to in the start of 2024. I also have literally no clue what this is about. I know it's the first book, I think, in the Grisha verse, which is where the majority of Leigh Bardugo's books like aren't in. Okay, so it's about this girl, Alina, who is a soldier, and there's this thing called the Shadow Fold, which is just this like dark thing full of monsters and stuff. And somehow she's in this Shadow Fold and she has this like power come out of her that she didn't know that she had. So then she is brought into like the lavish elite lifestyle of the Grisha. So I guess Grisha is the country's magical military elite. So the Grishaverse must all take place within this one country maybe. And the leader of the Grisha thinks that she can be the person that finally like gets rid of the Shadow Fold. It could be a flop or I could really enjoy it, but either way I'm hoping that it sets me up nicely for Six of Crows. Recently I read None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to pick up more books by her. So I was looking through all the ones that they had at half price and got The Family Upstairs, which I don't think I had ever heard of before, but Mick said that she had heard of it or something. I think she pulled it out and gave it to me. That's right, it's about this girl who's adopted and she's been waiting for 25 years to find out who her biological parents are. And I think she comes home to a letter, she finds out who her parents are, and she finds out that she is the sole inheritor of this abandoned mansion that they have, and it's just a creepy mystery thriller from there on, I think. Next, I got These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I have seen so many books by this author and so many people love them. I think Rachel Catherine recently just finished all of her books and she really loves them. So I've been wanting to give it a try, and I believe that this is the very first book that you're supposed to read. Hopefully that's correct. They sound really cool and different. I think that most of them take place in Shanghai and it's like rival gangs and I don't even know what else. Yeah, there's gangs, there's monsters. I assume that it is in urban fantasy since it's in Shanghai, and that just sounds like something I've never read before. So I really am excited to give her books a try. Then I got Funny Feelings and Love Light Farms, which because of the covers, I for some reason thought that they were written by the same author, but they are not. Funny Feelings is by Tara DeWitt and Love Light Farms is by BK Borison. I think this one is in a series and the covers all match. And this one for some reason just gives me the same vibe, so I thought they were related. I think they're both lighthearted rom-coms, and this one takes place on a Christmas tree farm, so I thought it would be perfect for December. I've never read a holiday book, and I wanted to pick up a few and try them, so this was perfect. And oh my gosh, Funny Feelings, I have heard nothing but amazing things from people that I know in real life and people on BookTube and Book Talk. This is, I think, about a comedian and her manager. So supposedly this is really funny and I think just a really sweet rom-com. People adore this, so I'm very excited. I feel like I have not been reading a whole lot of romances lately, and every once in a while it's really nice to just throw in a short, fluffy little romance. So I wanted to get a couple more. That is it for all the books that I got this past weekend. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bought 7 in one day, which is not great, but I've done worse. And the rest of these I've just bought within the last month. This one just came out, Iron Flame, which is the second book after, what the heck is it called? Fourth Wing. Oh my gosh, that is embarrassing. It's the second book after Fourth Wing, which if you don't know what that is, I don't believe you because everyone has been talking about Fourth Wing for the last year, it feels like. One of the most hyped up books ever, and I just read it. I was actually reading it when I went and picked this up on release day, and I did really enjoy Fourth Wing, so I'm excited for this one. It is a lot thicker than the first book, so I'm wondering what all could be in here, but I was kind of happy with how we left off on Fourth Wing. There's a lot of potential, I think, in this one to give us some answers and I don't know, just develop the plot. I feel like this has the potential to be really good. This came out exactly a week ago, but I already feel very behind because I haven't read it yet. It's not like top of my priority list, but once I finish the books that I really want to finish by the end of the year, I think this will be one of the first ones that I go to. On the same day that Iron Flame came out, Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree came out. This is the second book, or technically I think it's the prequel to Legends and Lattes, which was a 5-star book for me. I absolutely loved it. It was one of the coziest, sweetest little cozy fantasies I've ever read. Well, it's the only cozy fantasy I've ever read, but it was just one of the like sweetest, cutest books that I've ever read. And I think that this follows the same main character, Viv, before everything happens in Legends and Lattes, and she is working in a bookstore. I'm kind of scared that this will not be as good as the first one, but honestly, I haven't heard a single word about this one, so it could be phenomenal. I know that Legends and Lattes is definitely not for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. I'm into the slice of life, cozy fantasy. Like, I'm okay with a super slow, not intense plot as long as I'm enjoying the characters and everything. And I really loved the found family and just, I don't know, it just was so cute and heartwarming. So I'm really hoping that this one gives me all the same feelings. Another book that was super popular this last month that I feel late to the game on is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is a contemporary romance that has bits of magical realism in it. I feel like she is also one of those authors that writes more of like general fiction or women's fiction that has a romance side plot, kind of like Emily Henry. And everybody that I know has been loving this book. I'm sure that you've seen it because it got really popular, but it is about this girl who I think inherits her dead aunt's apartment. And her aunt always told her the apartment is magic. And somehow there is this guy who is living in the apartment from 7 years in the past. And like they are there at the same time. I don't really know how it works, but that is the magical realism element to it. And it's obviously romance between the two of them. Other than the one Emily Henry book I've read, I don't think I've read any books where the romance is the subplot and it's just more of a general fiction. And maybe that's not really what this book is. But that is what I've gathered based off what people are saying. And I would like to try that out, something a little bit different. In the exact same vein, we have The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. She is for sure someone who I know writes more of literary women's fiction with romance side plots. I think this is her most popular book, and my friends love this book, and everyone that I watch also loves it. I love the idea of this, which is that she is his bodyguard, and they're fake dating because I don't think they want anybody to know that she's his bodyguard, including his family. So even like in his own home around his family, they're fake dating. And like I said, nothing but absolutely amazing things for Catherine Center and this book in particular. I had heard just a little bit about this book, and I know that Haley Pham talked about it in a book of the month video, but this was 100% a cover buy, and that is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. See, I don't even know what it's called. I literally am just obsessed with this cover. One thing about me is that I hate hardcovers. Like, I just hate reading them. I do think they're pretty, but reading experience, they're awful. I will take a paperback any day. But if a cover is just gorgeous, or I think a book is like absolutely amazing, then it just deserves to be in a hardcover. And this is one of those. It's stunning, so she deserves the respect of a hardcover. Since I won't shut up, I feel like I need to give you a close-up. It's honestly nothing revolutionary, but I don't know why. It speaks to me. I really like this cover. I actually have a couple of other books by this author on my want to read list because I've just heard really amazing things about her writing. And if I remember correctly, this is a fantasy that has to do with books, which sounds fun. A woman risks everything to end her family's century-old curse, solve her mother's disappearance, and find love in this mesmerizing novel from blah blah blah. Oh, and the curse is all of the women in her family seem to go a little bit like crazy. They start hearing voices and things, and they are driven to madness. And June's mom disappeared when everybody thought that she was going crazy. Okay, I think I'm wrong about the book. I think I am mixing this up with another book that has a stunning cover that I look at every time I'm in Barnes. Now it has to do with a book. This one I don't think has anything to do with a book. If I'm being honest, this was an impulse buy that I probably won't get to anytime soon, but I am very happy to have on my shelves. I have had way larger book hauls, but for some reason I feel like that was really long. Those are all the books that I've got in the last month. Other than Iron Flame and probably Bookshops and Bone Dust, I don't think any of them are like top priority for me. But if you think that I should read one of these, please let me know. I love when I do a book haul or a TBR video and you guys are commenting about the books that I have that you love. It just really helps to motivate me and get me excited to read the books that I have. So if you're also looking forward to some of these, or you've read and you recommend some of the books I just hauled, please let me know. There have been so many new releases in the past couple of months, so it's really hard, I feel like, to stay on top of everything. So there might be some really great books that I've missed. But I am really excited for the new releases I did decide to grab and the ones that I've just been like thinking about for a long time and finally picked up. That's all for me. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!